Good day, everyone. I am Amarmia Pietrajo. We are Group 14 reporter of our social class, and we're here to tackle about the global civil society. Global citizen is an intellectual who has widely traveled in the Enlightenment era. During the 19th century, there are two branching off to traveling groups such as occupational and professional organizations. Second is the political movements of the oppressed. The idea of traveling was an expression of cosmopolitanism. Creations of global civic society that became an international feature of the international politics, as expected, are informal networks and formal transnational organizations pursuing professional or social interests. However, it is not clear if transnational associations are acting as global citizens since they are primarily promoting their own particular concerns. The chapter of our study undertakes to first tackle the issue whether or not campaigners for human rights are promoting cosmopolitan goals. Second, deal with how far is the solidarity promoting social equality in global citizenship. Third, investigate functions of the different organizations offering aid and working for economic development. Fourth, examine the role of some environmental organizations which are concerned with the welfare of the global commons. And now let's go with the meaning of cosmopolitanism. The word cosmopolitan, which derives from the Greek word cosmopolites, means citizen of the world, has been used to describe a wide variety of important views in moral and socio-political philosophy. The nebulous core shared by all cosmopolitan views is the idea that all human beings, regardless of their political affiliation, are citizens in a single community. Different versions of cosmopolitanism envision this community in different ways, some focusing on political institutions, others on moral norms or relationships, and still others focusing on shared markets or forms of cultural expression. In most versions of cosmopolitanism, the universal community of world citizens functions as a positive ideal to be cultivated, but a few versions exist in which it serves primarily as a ground for denying the existence of special obligations to local forms of political organizations. Versions of cosmopolitanism also vary depending on the notion of citizenship they employ, including whether they use the notion of world citizenship literally or metaphorically. The philosophical interest in cosmopolitanism lies in its challenge to commonly recognized attachment to fellow citizens, the local state, parochially shared cultures, and the like. Cosmopolitanism is the idea that all human beings are or could or should be members of a single community. Different views of what constitutes this community may include a focus on moral standards, economic practices, political structures, and or cultural forms. A person who adheres to the idea of cosmopolitanism in any of its form is called cosmopolitan or cosmopolite. Cosmopolitanism is a Western notion that optimizes the need for social agents have to conceive of a political and cultural entity larger than their own homeland, which would encompass all human beings on a global scale. It presupposes a positive attitude towards difference, a desire to construct broad allegiances, equal and peaceful global communities of citizens who should be able to communicate across cultural and social boundaries, forming a universalist solidarity. Its inclusive drive is most evident in moments of crisis, of other modes of representing and ascribing membership to existing socio-political and cultural unity. Cosmopolite in ancient Greece means citizen of the world. Morphy said, exemplified that according to the Eurocentric narratives, the concept of the cosmopolitanism has a rich lineage beginning its life with Diogenes in 412 BC to 323 BC, cried to be a citizen of the world, and then being the most commonly associated with the Stoics, Pauline Christianity, and the Enlightenment thinkers such as Immanuel Kant. These cosmopolitan thinkers shared and expresses the core idea that all human beings belong to a single community and the ultimate units of moral or theoretical concern are individual human beings, not the state or particular forms of human association. He further then continued that universality does not count in the European perspective, but also to the rest of the world's civilization like the Asian and the Africans. Nagkoya, as cited by Murphy, states such a view promotes a reflective sense of interdependence which stresses that our identity and potential for being human is realized through our engagement with others. Such an understanding is articulated in the expression umunto mabanto, which means a person is a person because of, by, or through other people. Such a principle states that the ethical foundation of a just society are not to be found in material gain, but through the development of ethical relationships based on reciprocity, hospitality, and through recognizing our interconnectedness. The concept of civil society, initiated from social networks from below to provide independence from the state as a resistance. Democratic theorists argued that civil society is essential to democracy, both as a barrier to an encroaching state and as participative function in voluntary bodies for political education and responsible citizenship. For Hegel and Marx, there is no simple definition of civil society. Civil society causes individualism and social division when they said, a civil society is the sphere defined by the market economy and its resulting individualism and socially divisive effects. There are organizations arising out of the economy to pursue group aims, whether federations and industrialists or trade unions, as are consumer groups. All activities and institutions of civil society within states, therefore, are explicitly political. Indeed, many are social, religious, cultural, and professional. And now let's go with the human rights organization advocates. Who are these human rights organization advocates? As Hughes Evans stated, it is a movement that mobilizes global citizens, people who self-identify first and foremost, not as the member of the state, nation, or tribute, but as members of the human race. Galvanized people to take action in the fight against extreme poverty, climate change, gender inequality, and more, which are ultimately global issues, and even says they can ultimately be solved by global citizens demanding global solutions from their leaders. Many organizations around the world dedicate their efforts to protecting human rights and ending human rights abuses. Major human rights organizations maintain extensive websites documenting violations and calling for remedial action, both at a governmental and grassroots level. And that's all. Thank you.